Hey guys, welcome back. This is my 1983 Volkswagen Rabbit LS Diesel, and in the last episode about this car, I started it for the first time in 26 years.
Oh my God! Holy! No way!
That's right, this thing was parked in 1995 for some unknown reason, and in today's video we're going to figure out what that reason actually was and prep it for a big road trip. Now, if you remember and recall from the first video, I made a promise to you that if I could get this motor to start, I would drive this car to New York City and back, which is a 1,000-mile round-trip road trip. And this car is so far from ready to be driven 1,000 miles, but in today's video we're going to start prepping the car and figuring out what exactly is wrong with it to make it road trip ready. So let's go. Okay, first things first, this timing belt has to go like yesterday. When they get old, they get super unreliable, and this thing could break at any given minute. So we're gonna start with that. We're gonna pull off the old timing belt, replace it with a new one, and go from there. Now, once I have this changed out, I'll feel way better about starting and actually running this engine to see what else is wrong with it. Naturally, I just stripped out one of the screws holding on this crank pulley, so I have to use this screw remover to try and back it out. I think it'll work out okay. There it is. I got it out with the screw remover. All right, let's keep going. Timing belt is done, so the next thing on the list is the thermostat, which is also down here underneath the engine. So we'll go ahead and pull that out and change it, put in the new coolant, and then drain the oil, change that as well, and we should be good to go. So we have the new thermostat next to the old thermostat next to the original thermostat housing, which I'm not even sure how this wasn't leaking. Like, that is the crustiest thing. That's where the hose goes. That's the crustiest thing I have ever seen. And somehow it wasn't actually leaking. Wow, that's gross. All right. So with the new parts I put on yesterday, I won't feel bad about actually starting this car up and letting it run up to operating temperature. So in doing so, I'm gonna keep my eyes and ears open for a number of things that could be going wrong. Fluid leaks, coolant leaks, oil leaks, fuel leaks. Is the battery charging? Does the fan come on when it's supposed to? You know, is it gonna sit there and overheat? So there's a number of things I'm gonna be walking around the car listening for and looking for as it's running. So let's go ahead and fire it up and we'll check it out. Okay, so let's see what we get. This is the first real cold start with the new timing belt and the new coolant with the thermostat. So yeah, this car hasn't run in 26 years. So whew, this is crazy. Okay, so we'll cycle the glow plugs. And okay, here we go. Fired right up. Wow, this car it's actually pretty good, I think. That was the most drama-free cold start I've ever had with a 1.6 diesel. This thing's been sitting for like 24 hours without being started, and Okay. So we're getting a little bit of smoke out of the exhaust, but nothing terrible. Okay, so right off the bat, the battery light is still on. So I'll take my multimeter, we'll go out to the engine bay and see what the voltage is at the battery. But I would imagine with it being on, it's probably not charging. Okay, so we're showing 12.49 volts. Let me just try to rev it up a little bit and see if that triggers the alternator to start working. Yeah. Okay, so the battery light's off now. Let's go get another reading on the battery voltage. Okay, well that was an easy fix. It's charging now, 13.9 volts. Okay, so let's let it warm up, and once it's up to about halfway on the temperature gauge, we will see where we stand with leaks and smoke and noise and if the fan's gonna come on. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Wow, that thing is noisy. So here's the thing, the cooling fan never came on, so I would imagine the thermo switch is no good. So before it cools down, I'm gonna go out and test continuity at thermo switch between the two poles and see if it's actually working. If it is, I'll see if the relay is any good, and then ultimately the fan, if it actually works at all. I think it's pretty safe to say that we have made strides since last week when I brought this thing home, but we still have a pretty long way to go. Now, what have we learned? Well, it runs, it drives, it charges, it cools without a fan, and it doesn't leak anything too badly. Now, we have a massive Rock Auto order to make, and until that comes, well, guess we'll see you in a few days.